Good evening. My name is Debbie Novak. I was an author in the growth series of G.R.I.T. And I want to have, I have a confession to make. That after I wrote my chapter in growth, and it was published, and I read it for the first time in paper in that book, I was absolutely mortified. I'm not a writer. And although I was honest and giving a true version of me, I was very insecure about it. I felt like my words were inadequate when compared to all the other talented ladies in the book. As a result of this insecurity, I never really promoted it the way I should have. For one thing, it's hard for me to promote myself. It just feels weird to me. I don't think it's weird if anyone else does it, but it's just something I struggle with internally. I mean, does anyone else feel the same way? Show of hands. Do you have a hard time? Thank you. Okay, so I'm not alone. All right, thank you. I appreciate that. So after that, I put the book aside, and I hadn't touched it in 2 years until it came time to prepare for tonight. So I got it out, dusted it off, and I began to reread my chapter. And as I was reading it, I started to cry. And I mean really cry. Although it is not the most eloquently written piece of literature you'll find, it was me being me. It was me being vulnerable and raw. And although I was talking about my growth on a personal and professional level, I was honest about my insecurities and trying to overcome them. And then I realized I still have those same insecurities, and I'm still trying to overcome them. I put a quote in my chapter by Bob Proctor, which read, "Change is inevitable, but personal growth is a choice." It resonated with me then, and it resonates with me now. As I was reading my chapter, I was reading excerpts from my previous chapter of my life, and not my current one. Professionally and personally, things had changed. Professionally, my job changed. My role changed. The dynamics within my job changed. And I found myself in a position where there was no more room for upward mobility. So I had to make a choice. I found myself in the similar position that I've been in several times. A choice to accept the changes or a choice to grow. Let's table that for a second and come back to it. Personally, I'm not one who makes decisions quickly. I have to analyze every angle possible and then analyze those angles from a different angle until I've analyzed away. But once I make a decision, I know that I've made that decision based on every potential outcome or result, and I've accepted whatever that outcome is. I've accepted that this is a better choice for me, for my family, and for my overall happiness. Just as stated in the chapter, change is inevitable, but personal growth is a choice. I touched on it briefly in my chapter, but I was born and raised in a religion that completely engulfed every area of my life. The people I chose to associate with, the vacations I went on, how I dressed, how I spoke, my daily choices, my daily thoughts even. Critical thinking was forbidden or not encouraged. But most of my family and my friends were all in this religion, and it was all I had ever known. But I felt internally like I was suffocating. And I knew that if I left, I would lose all of them. But my happiness was important to me. So after 40 years of being in that religion, I left to pursue my happiness. Personal growth is a choice. I was in a marriage for 25 years, and some of those times were very happy. In fact, the absolute best gift I've been given was my son, who is sitting here in the audience today. My 17-year-old boy, Connor. He was made from love, and he came from that marriage. But things changed there too. He changed, I changed, things became toxic. and I was no longer happy. And again, I felt like I was suffocating. It was a really tough decision, but after 25 years, I left to pursue my happiness. Personal growth is a choice. In contemplating where I was professionally, coming back to that, and looking at my future or lack thereof at Lionmark, I made the decision that after 29 years of being at this same company, it was time to leave and pursue other opportunities. In doing so, also pursuing what's best for me and for my family and my overall happiness once again. And now I'm working for West Contracting. I think they're happy to have me, which is nice. Again, personal growth is a choice. In conclusion, I still have almost all the same insecurities that I had in my previous chapter of my life, but I made myself a few promises. I promised that in this new chapter of my life, although I will continue to make mistakes, I will not only learn from them, but I will own them. I promise that I will see my value and see my worth, and I will own that too because I've earned it, and I've worked really hard for it. And I promise myself that I will always choose growth because, again, change is inevitable, but personal growth is a choice that all of us have to make for ourselves. We only have one life to live. Make it happy. Make it a good one. Thank you all.